and gentlemen, shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the neighborhood of Race Matters. This
Yes.
is a live episode, and it is Wednesday, July the 13th, 2022.
Yes.
And it is a great day to be alive in the world. Everybody doesn't have that testimony, but we do. And I am so grateful and thankful for my co hosts, Mariana and Rosie, who are joining me here this evening. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Hey,
Hello.
blessed and highly favored.
That's right. That's right.
Amen.
So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have a great show in store for you, as we do every single Wednesday, 8 p.m., which is our new time. Don't forget, click the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we're on with this show and all the other shows. Click the notification bell and then click all. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the Facebook page, and share the video if you like what we have to say. Tonight, we're talking about current events that have to do with race, current events that have a racial component. And
Yes.
many of you, most of you, watch the news or get your news on your social media, television, wherever, and things come across your news, comes across your feed. Where I know it does with mine, where there's different incidents that happen all over the country. It seems like every single day where
Yes.
there's some
Oh, yeah.
incident or incidents
Hmm.
that are involving race, and specifically with um, police officers. And the three, and you know what, we didn't even coordinate this. I'm just thinking of this right now. The three events, current events that we're talking about tonight, each one of us has a different one, and each one of them have to do with police and African American, two men and one is a female, but all are African
Mhm.
American and all involving the police.
Right.
So, as I said, they're not hard to find. You
Oh,
probably have to live under a rock not to be
Yeah.
able to find these incidents. There's so
Absolutely.
many, and most of them don't even make mainstream media.
Mm-mm.
So
right.
tonight we're going to
Right.
talk about one. Mariana's going to talk about one that's one of the ones that has made mainstream media. I don't know if mine has. I really haven't heard it anywhere, but I'm not saying it hasn't, and I haven't heard Rosie's either. So we're going to inform you tonight because it's good to be informed. We're
Hmm.
not showing any videos. I don't, at least at this juncture, this is one of the ways that I am taking control of my mental health and the mental health of those who host the show with me and who watch the show. You can watch these videos that we talk about anywhere else. I don't particularly want to show them because we see them so often. So, we're going to say the names of the people and where they're from and everything like that. So you can easily look it up on your own if you haven't seen it. But
Yes.
right
Mhm.
now, we choose
Mhm.
not to show the video, but we're going to the videos, but we're going to inform you so you can be informed about what's going on. So without further ado, we're going to let Mariana take the stage and share with us the first current event that's in the news so we can be informed. Thanks, Mariana.
Thank you, Sharon. Good evening, friends. Yeah, so this first case truly is tragic, and I still cannot wrap my mind around it. And, I am with you, Sharon. I know there's a video about it. I, for a second, wondered if I should look at it in preparation for this, and I just couldn't. Like I played the beginning, and then I was like, nope, I don't think I want to continue. So I'm talking about Jalen Parker. He was a 25-year-old African American who was shot in Akron, Ohio. And initially, supposedly, what happened was that he was being stopped for a traffic violation, along with something else related to his car. Maybe like he didn't have a light or something like that. And he didn't stop immediately. So he started to, become chased by police. They called for backup and supposedly heard a gunshot from his car, although later when they did see a gun in his car, supposedly it was unloaded. So I don't know, whatever they heard. But according to them, they claimed that they thought their life was in danger. However, at the time of the shooting, he had slowed down his car, maybe because they're approaching, and tried to run away. So at the time of the shooting, he was actually running away and was not an immediate threat. And yet, despite him running away, we know that he had at least 60 wounds in his body.
Jesus.
From it is estimated about 6 to 7 police officers shot at him. And like when I hear that, to me, like this is where systemic injustice, systemic racism comes
Yes.
to right away, because obviously, like, it is not just like one police officer responding in this way. It was a group of them, and they all reacted in such a inhumane, horrendous way. And I read a bit later, I didn't even realize that, but they even attempted to put handcuffs on him, even though he was unconscious on the floor at that point.
Wow.
So that just like makes no sense. I also
Marianne, let me
read
ask you a question to make sure I'm clear. You said he did have a gun on him, but when he ran away out of the car, the gun was left in the car, correct?
right,
So
and
he
he was
was
unloaded.
no threat to them whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
And
And
you
he
said
was also running away. He wasn't
right.
running towards
Yeah.
them. He was running away, right? Which,
Mm-hmm.
like, how many serial killers and mass shooters have recently been arrested
Right.
without any shots in their body?
Right.
And I think I even heard on that story or read on that story when I was listening to it that what was it? That he, like, when he was running away, well, let me put it this way. When he's running away, there is no threat, there is no need for overshooting, and for them to, oh, this is what I was trying to remember. They're in that state, they're actually want questioning, because they're saying that at what point are cops at this point going to stop even chasing people, because they said it was a car chase first, and then when he finally stopped, then it was a foot chase. But they're like, a lot of people that are protesting, one of the questions was, with all of the cameras and everything that we have, what is even the necessity to do a car chase? You have that car, you got the information, license plate, make it a car. You can go ahead and serve a ticket, because it was just I guess a infraction or a moving violation. And they said, why can't they just mail a ticket to the address, to the person that owned the car, or whoever it was?
Mm-hmm.
But you do a car chase, then you do a foot chase, and then you have, he may have been hit 60 times, but guaranteed there were more shots than that. 60 just made their mark.
And also, like, his family saying that they really, like, are shocked that he would even attempt to run away, and that was not like him. He has no criminal record. His fiance recently died in a car accident, so he's probably going through so much at this point. And can we talk about maybe like the trauma reaction of knowing you have a gun in your car, and as a Black man, you're being stopped, and maybe his reaction was to panic in that moment because of all the trauma he's been exposed to the past several years in this country. So maybe he reacted out of panic, and that's why, of course, it is a crime to like run away, but at the same time, he still has to go right through a process of court and such. So I don't know why there was no attempt to arrest him.
But even in that crime of running away, that's somebody who has no intention of hurting you all, because they're running, whether by fear. And in the height of the violence between cops and young Black men and women and stuff, Black men and women, not young, Black men and women, at what point do officers say, we don't want to add to this?
Right.
Young Black man running, we got his car, we got a gun in the car, whether it was loaded or not, we can track him down from that. But you add to it by not only chasing him down, but 60 bullets in his body. That's overkill. I mean, that sounds like somebody that's got an adrenaline and a desire to do some damage to somebody, maybe because you feel that you should be respecting me as a police officer. Come on.
Right. Doing that in the context of all of the protests and the conversations around police brutality just makes no sense. You think the effort would be to gain trust.
Right.
But, it begs the question around, do they think they still have enough power to get away with.
But Sharon, don't you think like at this point there needs to be something done in the police departments in those high areas where a lot of white officers are killing black people, that there's some kind of empathy training needed? Because even if you feel disrespected, you've got to realize it as a white police officer, and I'm not trying to make them all there. We already know all of them aren't bad, but you've got to realize this black person probably thinks they're going to die. Let's not, make them pursue them so that they would probably think they would, because in the climate we're in, we have to temper this down. We are the ones that have to show that we're here for the public, and we have to temper this down. Where's the empathy? It's sad to say.
I agree, Rosie. There needs to be a lot of training, and it needs to be training that's culturally competent and diverse.
Yes.
Much better training today. Not that we throw out all of the old training,
Right.
Tactically and all of that. Absolutely not. But we have to look at it comprehensively and see what are we doing, that would work now. Some of the things that they did before didn't even work, and they kept doing it. What good is your awareness being raised if you keep doing the same thing? It's pointless.
Mhm.
But we know better. But part of the issue is, and Mariana spoke to it, it's systemic, right? This just didn't happen in a vacuum. This is the foundation of America,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
America has been a corrupt nation from the beginning, right? Has been a violent nation from the beginning of its so-called founding, even though the Native Americans were already here, right?
And Mexicans.
So, right, yeah, that's right, exactly. And so, there's a long history of indoctrination
Mm-hmm.
in this mindset, right? And then especially in law enforcement, because we know that law enforcement was created during slavery to catch runaway slaves, to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was created for,
Instituted
right?
for.
And that, and so it's like that's passed on generation after generation. And of course, we know about the blue wall of silence, right?
Yep.
Even though police officers want the community to tell who did it. Don't be silent.
Yet they are
silent when your colleagues do something that they shouldn't done.
right.
So if you want the community to speak up when they see crimes, you need to speak up too. Don't tell me to do one thing and you're doing another. It's hypocritical.
Good point, Sharon.
Right. It's all the time. Snitches get stitches. Yeah, we know that. You should drop that, a mindset. Well, you drop yours.
Like you said,
all of us need to drop it. We know it's not good.
right.
Don't tell me to do it and you're not doing it.
Like you said, you want the community to work with you. Well, you have to work with the community. So like
Right.
you said, if you want us to let you know where the crime is happening and who did it, then you have to know where the crime happened and what officer did it. Because by you covering it up, that means you support that officer, or
Exactly.
you're
Silence is consent.
yes, it's consent. You've allowed this, and even with so many of them, like there is a show by Tyler Perry. It's called they talk about missing, and that's one I should have even mentioned to you all. But they're till today, they're still looking for the bodies of a young black man and a young Mexican man that one police officer had picked him up.
Mm-hmm.
And when they questioned where he was or what they did, what the officer, they asked him, what did you do with him? All he told him is, oh, well, I didn't think they were bad, so I gave him a ride to the Circle K. Well, 3 months before he gave the young black man a ride to Circle K and went missing, they found out, as the mother had them put it in the paper, the Mexican consulate called her and said they were looking for a Mexican man that went missing 3 months prior to this man. And guess where the officer dropped him off? At Circle K.
So what was
and that was in 2003 and 2004. And here it is 2022, 21. They're still trying to find their bodies, and I don't even think the officer has, been arrested, because There are no bodies. They could have ran away. They could just went missing. But officers that work with him kept telling Tyler Perry's crew, yeah, we think he did something to him. But yet you won't go public with it. You're just telling a couple people in private, yeah, we think he killed them. We think he did something to them. But when they ask you publicly, oh, no, we don't know what happened. The hypocrisy, like you said, Sharon, is so bad.
Now that they've told Tyler Perry, because it's public now, but look at all these years that have passed and what their families have endured with their loved one being missing or, dead.
And both of them had little daughters.
Tyler Perry and this show investigating, this still wouldn't have come to light. Right. Look at what it was. Ahmaud Arbery.
It's over 20 years. Yeah. Right? Ahmaud Arbery. Yep.
Right. And how they knew everything, but they didn't prosecute it until the video was shown, until the
publicity,
public outcry months later. Now we're going to look into it, but they already knew. They already knew about it.
And the thing is,
what to sweep it under the rug because again, this is the indoctrination of in this white supremacist American patriarchal society, right? And that blue wall of silence, and especially when you have there's systemic racism, and people who say there is no such thing as systemic racism, I don't even know where they got that from. They don't want to believe it, first of all, because it's a fact. It's researched.
Right.
It's researched.
Right.
It is a fact.
Isn't it so detrimental because with all the time that passes, now they find scenarios on why the things happened that the way they did, because so much time passed. Now everybody, well, we don't know what happened. Well, so long ago and this and that. And all of that time that passed, like you said, when there's murders, there's a show called The First 48. If you don't find out what happened in the first 48 hours, it gets worse and worse. And the longer it is,
memories fail. Evidence goes bad or missing. All that stuff. Yeah.
So. And even with the Circle K, they pulled up their videos. The cop never dropped anybody off. They pulled up their videos, and there was no video of the cop pulling up to their Circle Ks.
Right. So he took them somewhere, maybe, I'm just saying, and did something to them, and they never.
But the cover up.
The question is, why was there no investigation? What happened if there was no evidence of him taking them there, right? If he's one report and then there's videos showing that he did not take them there, then shouldn't there be an investigation to find out?
Well, this is what's weird about this one, about that one that I'm talking about. The cover up, like you said, Sharon, the cover up that they do with each other, Blue Line. The thing is, he called into his precinct and said, "Hey guys, I got a homie's white car here, and I'm going to have it towed, and this and that and this and that." And this is the night that he took the guy somewhere and then came back and got his car and had it towed. Yet 3 days later, when the mother was at the police station asking them, they called him at home. He said, "No, I didn't pick anybody up." And my problem is, how can dispatch not look 3 days prior and see the call that he made to them saying, "I'm picking up a homie's car"? They have it in recording because they played it on the show. So even dispatch didn't do their due diligence in looking into it. And she was like, "Yeah, I thought it was something crazy," but she in here acting crazy, saying that, one of our officers did something to her son. And it's like, if you would have just went 3 days prior and listened to the calls that came in at that time, you would have heard him talk about the homie's car. And if you're going to say a homie's, you know who you're talking about, because it could have been anybody's car.
And the bottom line is, it happens because Black lives don't matter. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah,
because had the mom going in and she had been white and her white son was missing, oh, trust me, they would have gotten to the bottom line of
the
that.
Chief and everybody would have been looking for it.
Exactly.
And called that officer in the office. Listen, you took his car, you had it towed, because the car was towed. Who towed the car? Who gave her the authority to tow the car? So all the cover up that happened. And now 20 years later, now you all really want to investigate it better?
And that's only because now Tyler Perry is making it public. So it's the public lecture.
Exactly.
Right? So, and this is historic. This is not new.
This is America.
Evidence now because of video. This has been going on since America was founded.
And it's still happening, right, with the videos.
That's the problem.
Right. Absolutely.
So with the case that I shared about in Akron, Ohio, and Jalen, right, his experience, well, the reason we know what happened is because we have the videos from the police. They had to run body cam. So like they knew that they're wearing the body cam and still went ahead and did this in the context of all of the protests and conversations that have been happening about race.
So that lets you know how bold and brazen they are, because we do that because we know we can get away with it.
Yes.
Right? Same with Derek Chauvin and George Floyd and all the others. Yes. I know I can get away with it because many, and maybe even myself, have gotten away with it before because we protect ourselves, the blue wall, right? Nobody's going to rat on me, right? Because then we'll blackball that person, right? Within the department, and you'll never get a job in another police department. And it'll be my word, police officer, against the other person's word, the black guy.
Well, one of them officers just got hired in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, in Pennsylvania, not Philly.
I'm sorry. I said Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Now it's not one of the guys from the George Floyd murder.
The young kid. Right. What was his name? I just had.
Yes,
Georgia Ardberg.
The young
Tamir
Rice.
Tamir Rice.
He just got hired in a Pennsylvania town, small town, where I think he's like the only officer. This is like insanity. And one of the things I read on there, it said that, we didn't know that about his past. Well, did you vet the guy? Did you vet the guy? Did you get a resume? Did you look for recommendations? Did you look through his past? Did you get a criminal history? I have to get all of that when
Sharon,
I apply for jobs. Like, how do you not know?
Half of the time when you go apply for a job, not only are they doing that, but they're checking all of the social medias, where your name is on social medias. You would have found it all over social media, what his name was linked to.
And you know what he said? The officer, not the one that was hired, he said, I was wondering why he would take a move all the way over here, because he's from another state, but further away, and take an $18 an hour job. So I wondered about that.
and you were finished with the wondering and didn't pursue that further.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, there's more than enough evidence, to show why these things happen, because we keep repeating the same behaviors. And what's going to happen when we repeat the same behaviors? The same thing is going to happen, right? And until we can come to a place where it really needs a heart change, and we just get down to the bottom brass tacks of it, as my
and accountability too.
You need a heart change. Something is wrong in your heart.
Yes.
You can just kill a man because of his color, right? Who has done nothing to you. That's a heart issue, right? Racism is a heart issue. That's a deep root there, right? And so,
and very ingrained.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Mariana?
And very ingrained. You shared with us, Sharon, the listeners, of course, don't know it, but the guy leading the tech talk mentioned how during the civil rights protests, only 20% of white Americans supported Martin Luther King. Hearing that just was so sad.
Right. It is sad.
Because we don't want to make it about, there's only a few people. It's not an issue that's systemic and large and problematic. Well,
right. And one of the things we hear, Black people have so much now. What does that have to do with anything? We're still getting killed indiscriminately. What does it have to do with anything?
Yeah.
But Mariana, what's the latest on Mr. Walker?
Right. So this happened recently on December, on the 27th of June. So still a lot
Okay.
is happening. There's still an investigation. All of the police officers, 6 or 7 were white, one was African American, who were at the scene there, and they're all on a paid leave while there's an investigation.
Vacation.
Yeah.
Vacation. Because if it was as serious as it is, all of these officers that were put on paid leave, once they are found guilty, or that it's proved that they went overboard, they should have to give the whole paid leave back. They should have to give that money back, because now we realize that you did do a criminal activity, so you owe the money back. They should be on an unpaid leave, because it's just as easy to put them on an unpaid leave, and then if they're found out to be innocent, then give them the back pay.
Absolutely.
But to pay somebody for a crime, I mean, look, hey, that's the one job to have, to get paid to do criminal activity and get away with it. Get paid. I mean, that's what's happening, and we are not advocating that all police officers are this way. We're just saying the ones that are guilty, a couple things have to happen. Number one, you officers have to do the same thing you telling the community to do. Tell on your fellow officers
If
that
would happen, Rosie, things could change.
Would change.
If the other, because I do believe there's more good officers than bad, but the bad ones get, the publicity, right? We understand why. Well, one, because murders happen, but two, bad news sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the other officers would just come together and say, we're not standing for this, so you can't blackball all of us.
Exactly.
Right? And let it be known, we're not doing this anymore. If you do this on my watch, like that brave Black woman police officer who then lost her job, but after George Floyd, they gave her job back and all the money she lost. When she stood up for the person that her fellow officer was manhandling, right? But then she got fired because
she got fired
to do it, right?
Yep. 2 years later, they fired her.
She did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get punished for doing the right thing. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
That's that conditioning. That's that bullying mentality, right? And that keeps that cycle going. And because I'm going to retaliate against you if you tell. That's a bully. That's abuse.
Yeah.
That's mental and emotional abuse.
That's why they hold their tongues. That's why they hold their tongue, because, I mean, to deal with that, and to be looked down on just because you're doing the right thing, and that created a society of silent witnesses, silent, people that, like you said, that see criminal activity and they do what the community does. I don't want. Yep, I don't want snitches get stitches, or in the police department, snitches get fired.
So you create a culture of fear, and that's how you keep people silent.
Yes.
Yep. And that's what happened in slavery. We created a culture of fear, and so slaves would not say when other slaves ran away, even though they knew, right? And with each other, some of them didn't run away, but they were fearful to run away, right? Because of what's going to happen to me if I run away.
Yeah,
right? Create that culture of fear because I'm going to kill you, maim you, do something to you.
Chop your foot off, this and that, all kind of things, whip you. So, and they do it in public so that the fear and most of that public stuff happened not only for the people, the slaves that were working for them, but it also ingrained in children when they see their parents beat, whipped, and also buck broken. I'm gonna leave that right there. But when they see all those things happening to the people that they looked up to, their uncles, their fathers, their mothers, and all of this, then a child learns to be afraid of that. So they ain't gonna buck as much as their parents because they saw what happened to my mama. I saw what happened to my uncle, to my brother. So it's a culture, like you all said, of training.
It's a training.
From a young age.
The manipulation of the mind through fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's the oldest tactic in the book.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
I honestly go back to, like, I wonder if that's what happened in Jalen's case, that he was afraid to be pulled
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm wondering, like, what would be the experience, even if you are carrying legally, right? You have a registered
Mm-hmm.
weapon in your car as a Black person and American. What happens if you realize you sped through a light and you know that you have a weapon in your car and you're being stopped?
Right.
I can imagine the anxiety of a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
Mariana, I think we told you before. As
Mhm.
soon as the light goes off behind us,
Right,
we start having palpitations. We ain't
exactly.
got no weapon. We ain't got no
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
Don't
But
even
it's
have to have
just
a
the
weapon.
thought that, oh God, how is this
Mm-hmm.
going to turn out?
Exactly, that much more. Because there was a case where the man said, "I do have a weapon. I am right."
Yeah,
Philando Castillo.
License,
Philandro.
right?
Philando
So I'm
Castillo.
sure, right? So in those
I'm
cases,
going. He said, I'm going in my glove compartment. I do have a weapon I'm registered to carry. I have a license to carry. Now I'm going in my
He was doing
glove
what the
compartment.
officer told him to do.
And soon as he revealed all of the truth, he was killed.
Shot him point blank range right there at
Yeah,
the door, at his seat in the car.
with his
Child
daughter in the back seat.
Beyonce right there. That is trauma at its highest.
And it's just
Illegal.
we talk about it, guys, because race does matter in this, and we're not trying to regurgitate something that's not real. It's happening today. This 25-year-old man, a young woman, pregnant woman, shot in her car, after exiting her car 5 times, sitting on the ground bleeding. She didn't die or anything, but the over reaction to people of color, it's just unbelievable. You can arrest all of the white um killers that are doing mass shootings, arrest them, and so a lot of them, as you arrest them, you put bulletproof vests on them, and you do whatever you can to shield them for the reaction of the community. Yet we can't even get you all to have compassion after you've gunned us down. You shoot us, and the compassion
And
still
we're unarmed oftentimes, whereas these
Yeah,
mass shooters are armed and they're
yeah,
taken into custody.
yeah,
right. And which,
And I don't want these shooters to be murdered, mind you.
absolutely.
I'm just saying, let it be equal. Let it make sense,
Yeah.
right?
We're saying treat us the way you would treat them. We don't want them
Exactly.
to be treated like us. We want you all to treat us the way we
Exactly.
treat them.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
Mariana, was there any other information you wanted to share about Mr. Walker?
Well, from what I know, it was that there has been quite a bit of protesting in, like, locally in front of the like police officers building and such. So a lot of that is still being determined. This just happened very recently, so there's still an ongoing investigation. I'm sure we will hear a lot more.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It does sound like murder to me.
That's murder. Come on.
60
Unarmed
person running
running
away.
away. That's that. You don't fear for your life when someone's running away.
Mm.
So
And I don't understand the part about them still handcuffing him even though he was unconscious. Like, I don't know what was the need
I
for
have
that
no
at that
idea.
point.
Unless it's just police protocol for anybody
Yeah,
that
but oh gosh.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Sharon,
Whoever we capture, we got to handcuff. I don't know. But all right, Rosie, let's talk about your current event
well,
today.
mine, and I don't have her name or anything because I just was getting the story about a pregnant woman, shot 5 times. And when I looked at the story and looked at some of the people that talked about it, uh, you know, the one lady, she said she heard them saying she's got a gun. Okay, fine, she's got a gun. But when she was shot and fell on the ground, the gun wasn't at her side at that time. The gun, if I'm correct, was in the vehicle or laying by the vehicle. And we don't know if she had the gun or the gentleman that was driving the car had the gun, you know?
Mhm.
But still, a young black woman gets out the car and you shoot her 5 times, and she sits on the ground begging for help for at least it looked like 15, 20 minutes, you know? And thank God the shooting of them shooting her wasn't in a fashion that was going to kill her. She's not dead or anything. She's fine. She, went to the hospital. But did the guy have the gun? Because the guy that was with her, you also took him to the hospital for unrelated issues. But yet the witnesses that videotaped it, they said, she got out the car. She was talking to the cops, and maybe the conversation got heated, and she, again, as a black woman, starting to fear, you want to run, because it's fight or flight. And when you see officers and you're black and they're white, because it looked like most of them were white, when you're black, they're white, and it's starting to get heated and loud, and you panic.
Absolutely.
And young women, young people, first of all, young women, for that matter, we already feel that we don't have the upper hand because you're men coming at me. But now you're men coming at me with a gun. And I've seen too many black women die at your hands. Do I let you take me in and risk dying because I'm pregnant? Or do I try and get away from this situation? And yes, we agree you shouldn't run from cops like this. But the bottom line is, I'm going to die whether I stand here or that's your mentality as a black person. I'm going to die whether I stand here. The trauma response. I'm going to die if I stay here, and I might die if I run. I'll take the chance.
Or I might live if I run.
Yes. I have a better chance.
Right. Running away is a survival.
Yes.
We've been running away since slavery.
And my point is with this story, even though I don't have a whole bunch of details because it just happened, like you said, Mariana, just a few weeks ago, maybe. My problem is, when is overkill enough? When is it too much? When are you going to consider this overboard to shoot at unarmed black people? I'm not saying she was innocent of anything. I'm not saying she was doing the right thing. She could have been cussing the officers out. But when is it overboard to shoot at unarmed black people when you arrest all of these people that are doing mass shootings? You arrest them. The first mass shooter recently that got killed was the young kid in the school.
And
if you all, right? I was going to say, and he wasn't Caucasian. Number one, he wasn't Caucasian. And number two, they brought out a new video. Them officers were in there for an hour and a half listening to shootings. Teachers calling, please, where are they? The kids hear the cops out there. Where are they? An hour and a half?
And the couple of cops are running away from when they
running away.
They ran back to the other hallway, like away from the gunshots. The video is so disturbing.
Yeah, and you have a mother who runs into the school, goes to one classroom, gets her one child, runs to the other classroom, which was closer to where the shooting was happening at the time, snatched her other kid and ran out to school with her kids.
Right.
And tell another
mother.
Unarmed mother. She was armed with rage. But the bottom line is she risked her life. That's a hero.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a hero. You ran in there and you risked your life to save the life of your children. And you all who are armed, you got vests on. I mean, you all are loaded in there with vests and helmets and all of this stuff. And you running away from the shooting while mother is running to the shooting. We have a very bad situation here because you all did not see the value of these children and that person's lives. You had no value of it. But it just...
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, since it was a predominantly, Hispanic school, if that had any, it makes you wonder, had it been a predominantly white elementary school, what would have happened?
It's sad. It's sad.
It's sad. It's just really sad. And you know, the chief has already been fired.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking Uvalde, and more heads are going to roll because that's just who does that as
Mm-hmm.
an officer? Who does that?
And is he the one that ran for Congress and won? Like, was he?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, because they said that I think he was the one that was running for Congress, and he had just won his seat right before that happened. So the next
I don't
question
know.
is, did they fire him because they knew he got a better job and he's actually going to make more money because he's working for this, as a governor or something? I mean, if he got his position and they ain't going to take it from me, fire me because I'm getting ready to get paid better anyway.
Yeah, I don't know,
So
but
there'll be a lot of protesting with that situation. I know
I'm
that.
sure. Rosie, is that the
Yeah,
end
that's
of
the
your?
gist of my
Okay.
story. Hmm.
All right, so I'm going to talk about this is a very disturbing
Hmm.
situation.
I'm feel like
Um,
crying right now, and you get ready.
you guys can watch the video. We're not going to show it
Yeah.
here. A 36-year-old black man from New Haven, Connecticut, Randy Cox, was at a function, like a barbecue or something like that, and someone called the police as someone at the party and said there was an armed male at the party, and he was. And I think he had a criminal record, so he's not supposed to have a gun. And so the police showed up, and he was detained, arrested without incident. He didn't give him a struggle. There was no issue with that. And they put him in the back of the police van, just him. There were no other arrests, and two other officers were sitting in the driver's section of the van. And yeah, he was handcuffed in the back of the van. There was no, so from what they're saying, there's no seat belts, and they show you all of this because there's cameras back there. When you watch the video, they show you the back of the van, everything. There's no seat belts in the van, so he's just sitting in the back of the van, handcuffed on those little small benches that they have there. So the driver says he had to stop short, and you see all this on the video as well, to avoid an accident. You see him stop short by pressing on the brake and putting his pressing his hand on the horn, and so slamming on the brakes. So Mr. Cox in the back of the van, handcuffed. When the van driver, a police officer, slammed on the brakes, Mr. Cox goes lunging to his right, and his head hits I guess the back of the cab of the van. And so he starts, and he's positioned in between. So there's a bench on each side of the van where prisoners would sit, and then there's a little aisle. So he's positioned along the aisle, and his head, like that, is against the back of the wall of the van. And he's help, help, help. And so one of the police officers in the cab is saying, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. And he's like, help, help, help. So it took them approximately 4 minutes to pull the van over and go back and see what's going on. And so they go back and see what's going on. They call the paramedics, but they tell the paramedics to meet them at the station.
Precinct,
rather than come here where the emergency is. And the protocol is that, and this is what it says in the article, and let me just say where I got this from so I can, a couple of things. World Socialist website, which is wsw.org, and Newsy. Newsy is where I first saw the video, and then the other site is where I got the follow-up for what's the latest. But so when he went to the back of the van, so he called the paramedics to meet me. The protocol is come to where the emergency is, not meet me at the station. But he said meet me at the station. So, he starts talking to the guy, and the guy can't move, right? Because he's hit his head and he's stretched out, and his hands are behind his back, handcuffed. And so the officer just takes it lightly. I don't know what was in the officer's mind, so I can't say. But obviously, if you're going to tell the paramedics to meet you at the station, you're not taking it as a serious issue. You're not trying to see what's really going on. So they drive to the station. And then three other officers come up. I think one is a female. And one says, move your body, move yourself. Says, I can't move. Yes, you can. He's drunk. or he's been drinking too much. Well, this is he's drunk, and he's been drinking too much, and so, but he can't move, and so they pull him out of the van.
Drag him out. Yeah.
They drag him out by the bottom of his legs and feet and drag him out of the van. Right now, I'm no medical professional, but at least after he gets out of the van, and what they do, they slam him in the wheelchair, but he can't
not even no stretcher,
any movements.
Right.
So he's falling out of the wheelchair, and his neck is limped over like that, right? And then they slam him back up in the wheelchair.
Slammed him too, y'all.
Something is wrong with him. He didn't get in the van like that. He was alert. He could move. I'm not understanding why you don't see what's possibly going on here, since especially you found him, he slammed on the brakes. And so now his head is jammed up against the wall. I mean, this is not rocket science here. So anyway, they slam him up in the wheelchair twice, pushed him into the precinct, and drug him out of the wheelchair, into the cell, onto the floor, left him on the floor of the cell, and his feet were shackled, and he can't move. He can't move. You know why he can't move? Because the man is paralyzed from the injury he sustained in the van. It doesn't take a genius to realize. I'm seeing the man slumped over in the wheelchair like that. I'm saying, oh my God, before he even said about him being paralyzed, I said, I think the man is paralyzed. Why aren't, and police officers are much more trained in medical stuff than I am, because they see this stuff routinely, right? And so then the paramedics arrive and take him to the hospital, right? And so what the latest is, he's had 2 neck surgeries. He's paralyzed from the chest down. He can't eat. He can't sleep. He can't talk. All he can do is cry.
Because I think they have him
cry.
Did they?
That's messed up.
I'm trying to remember if it said that he had a trach or something to put in to help him breathe.
He remains intubated. Yep.
And guys, if you look at the video that Sharon is talking about, you see them grab his shoulders and slam him back 2 times, and his head is all like this, and they're slamming him down. And he's obvious. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm showing y'all on the show, but this is the severity of the number one, incompetence,
exactly,
the uncaring, the cold-heartedness that. First of all, I wouldn't have even went in the van. I would have told hopefully I would have called the paramedics at the scene where it happened. But even if I got back to the precinct, I would have had the paramedics listen. I'm not going to go in there and touch them. You go in there first. Because
we all know that you don't touch them and move a body. Exactly.
Because you're going to do more damage.
But they also waited for minutes of him asking for help before they respond. And they had to hear him, right? As he slammed against that, they have to have seen him. There's just a lack of care and, treating him as a human being, and that.
And
when the one officer went to the back of the van after he slammed on brakes, after the 4 minutes, he said, "Did you move?" What do you mean? Did you move? When somebody slams on brakes, it's automatic for people to lunge forward. He's not. There's no seatbelts.
And you know what? I don't even
put his hands behind his back. And what do you think is going to happen? His head is wedged between the 2 benches and the wall, and he's saying, "I can't move." And when you put him in the wagon, he was perfectly alert, walking, everything fine.
And guys, the way you see it in that van, he wasn't even lunging. He was catapulted from his seat. Because if you see it the way, I don't know how hard the cop slammed his, but if you see his body, he was shot to that back door. And the thing that hit that back door was his head, and it snapped his neck.
That's the automatic thought. When I saw it, they had said nothing. I was like, oh my God, he might have a spine injury.
Yeah.
Because we know that compression. When your head hits something called compressing the spine like that. I'm no doctor. I know this.
And then you grab him
in medical stuff. You should have known something if you didn't know the severity. to just be so callous and uncaring. If that were your child,
Mm-hmm.
even if your child had a criminal record, whatever, you would have wanted your child to be treated differently.
Mm-hmm.
And then you grab him by the bottom of his feet and just drag him off like a rag doll, and then start slamming him, not on a stretcher, but in a wheelchair, which did probably more damage
And
by
that's what
him
they're
going
saying.
all like
That's what the
this.
medical professionals are saying. More damage was probably done by the way they handled him, dragging him out of the van by his feet, slamming him on into the wheelchair. So his body is now being folded in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Right.
And then dragging him out of the wheelchair across the police precinct floor and throwing him in a jail cell.
On the floor.
You all are heartless, uncaring. I mean, you just.
It's just so disturbing. It's just so disturbing.
Barbaric.
It's just.
Right. So, of course, the standard procedure, the 5 officers are on paid administrative leave.
Vacation.
Standard operating procedure when such matters happen.
Vacation. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So the feds are monitoring the case to see what's happening in case they may have to step in. And so it's getting some attention. There's been protests in the town. And again, this is Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. The state, police are weighing in. Not saying but so much, but it's on their radar. And this is not good. Let me just say that this is not good. And justice, we pray, shall prevail in this young man's case. I've been praying for a miracle in his body, that God do a miracle in his body. That he's temporarily paralyzed.
Yeah. So, very young age. You said 36.
36, yeah. 36.
And his life has ended as he knows it. And like you said, Sharon, just praying that God, in the name of Jesus, does something miraculous in his case. Yes. But these people need to stand accountable for the neglect that they caused on this young man. And the other thing that's got to happen, and I don't see, because personally, I told Sharon when I was looking at that van, it looks like something in the van that they could at least attach to the prisoners to keep them in their seat. That's what it looked like to me, but I don't know for sure. Right. But if anything, it's going to change it, because we in 2022. How can seatbelts be a law and you can throw a bunch of prisoners in a police van with no kind of seatbelt or no kind of restraint to keep them in their seat in today's time?
Well, they said that was an outdated van that they shouldn't have been using. Right. Well, so they're going to look into why was that van still being used. So, obviously that's one of the issues, but that's just one of the issues.
Exactly.
So say he did have seatbelts and I don't know if something still happened, how they handled him, how they missed him, like you said, neglected him. That's a whole other issue. And so right now the talk is just about the van and how we got to look into using either the more modern vans and using the seatbelts. Yeah, that's good.
But you're setting up
the other stuff.
But you're setting it up to say, hey, nobody really did any wrong here. That was just a bad accident that happened. And that's what you're doing. You're trying to set it up so that these officers, yes, you're trying to set it up so that everybody can walk away and say, okay, well, they really didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. After the accident, once you addressed him, everything after that was wrong. Closing the door, telling the EMTs to meet you at the precinct, that was wrong. Dragging him out and not putting him, first of all, you shouldn't have put your hands on him. It should have been the EMTs. But you taking the authority to drag him out and throw him in a wheelchair, did something wrong. Slamming him in there a few times, did something wrong. Dragging him out of that wheelchair and throwing him on the police floor, you did something wrong. So fine, you want to act like that was an accident when it happened. Everything after that wasn't. That was intentional.
Right. Careless. when you have a job of authority like that, an officer, a medical professional, you can't be careless for people's lives like that. You're in the business of life. The business of life, preserving it as best you can. That wasn't their best.
Yeah.
That wasn't their best.
Mm. Where
So I want to mention something that Mariana put in the chat. Leanna Hale, that's the name of the pregnant woman. Is
Yes.
that it, Mariana?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. That's
that's sad.
Rose's story.
25-year-old too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She was 35.
I believe she was
35.
She was in her 20s, I believe.
Yeah, I thought she was 25.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe 26-year-old.
Okay. All right. Well, this is our show today.
these
I want to leave on a
situations.
depressing note, but when we bring these issues to the table, they're not pretty, but we want to keep them in the forefront of the conversation so you know that this has not stopped. And we have to do our part to make things public, make them visible, keep them a part of the conversation. So in the hopes that there will be change, because we keep talking about it, we keep marching, we keep doing things to hold our police officers, our politicians, and everyone accountable to do their part. Absolutely. But it's not pretty. Yeah. And so sometimes we have to bring you the not pretty. Mm-hmm. And we're not sugarcoating it. It's sad. Mm-hmm. It's disgraceful.
And we look forward to the day that we come on here and tell you the good stuff. You know, but until then, you got to be able to get through this hard stuff.
Exactly. And think about when you hear these things, well, what can I do to get involved?
Yes.
One, vote if you don't vote, and vote for the people who have your best interest in what you hold dear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right? They're the ones who have your agenda and not their own agenda of whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, if you see something wrong, be a voice. Mm-hmm. Speak out. Say something.
Absolutely.
Right. So find out what your part is. There's so many things you can do. Everything's not for everybody. This is how we do our part.
Mm-hmm.
By having this show on and bringing issues to you, issues that affect our everyday lives. Just because it might have happened in your family, but it's happened to probably someone you know, or someone you know who you know. And if it happens in your community, it affects the community. So let's not just look at it. If it doesn't affect me and mine, it's fine. No, we are the United States of America.
Yes.
What affects one affects all when you're united for real.
Yep.
Right? So let's be more united and look into what is your thing to do.
Yeah.
And then do that thing and galvanize people around that thing. Nothing's too little. We've come together to put the information out there on this platform because this is what we found is good for us to do with our voice, raising our voice in such a way to inform and educate the community, as well as on the show, bringing strategies for healing and bringing resources. So we're not just talking about, the ugly, and the bad. We're talking about the good as well, which the good is what we can do about it, how we can get involved, how we can practice self-care, how we can heal and advance and move forward with a better heart. Justice for all, not for one.
Mm-hmm.
So we thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Share the feed, share the video, like the page on Facebook, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and click the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we're on. And once you click the notification bell, click all, so you don't have to think about it. You'll get that notification. And we're on Tuesday through Thursday right now with Life with Sharon on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 and 8 p.m. on Wednesdays with Grace Matters. So join me tomorrow as I continue to walk through the faith journey, the Christian faith journey at 9 p.m. with me on Life with Sharon, talking all things faith and how to walk by faith. Thank you for joining us. We love you. Practice some self-care this evening after watching this video. Those of you who watch in the replay, we thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
The replay, still put in your comments or questions or whatever, because we go back and look at the feed and answer questions and make comments that with you as well, to try and get to what it is that you have to say. What all of us have to say is important, whether you're live with us or whether you're on the replay. So we appreciate you. We're all in it together.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us. Join us next Wednesday at 8 p.m. for another live episode of Race Matters. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you, Mariana. Thank you, Rosie, for joining me tonight. And you guys have a great evening, a God evening. Shalom.
Shalom.
Everyone.